Making a documentary like 808 is a challenge in itself. I mean, there's a reason why a lot of compiling music documentaries are not being made, is because it's, first of all, you have to be very, very broad. You have to appreciate the multifaceted stories you're approaching. Also, there's a huge wealth of music, and clearing music is a tough process for any filmmaker, at any level. And so that is the challenge you have to be ready to face, and especially when you know that it's going to be a lot of it's going to actually have to be done towards the end, because when you're wrapping up your story towards the end, you know that there's going to be choices that are going to have bearing in your clearances. So that's a huge challenge, something that we have to be kind of ready for, bracing ourselves all the way through. It's like, all right, we know that if we include this story, this is not going to be easy. But at the same time, the challenges as well came about being at the right place at the right time, on limited resources. This is an independent film. We welcome a great partner later on, but as far as the budget of the film, that was all independent finance. It took time to raise. It took time to I had to take a punt and invest on the front to go and seek that opportunity in Miami, see if we had a film, from which I had to go and raise finance from outside. And that was, that's a process, and you're taking a lot of risk. You're putting yourself, a bit like all into a story. After that, the finding the right crew, a crew that can travel with you, accept that, we're not always going to be managing to get everything we want, and everybody has a lot of ambitions following a subject like that, especially when every single person in the crew is passionate about the topic. You have to accept some of the setbacks. We are so lucky. Arthur Baker managed to get so many of amazing people in front of our camera that we could sit there very humbled in front of those legends, telling us about their passion for the 808, telling us that this is their favorite kind of interviews, something that is about something they love. That made that challenge easier. Arthur really sort of pulled off some amazing opportunities, and actually my colleague as well, Matt Jarman, got us Phil Collins just to add to it, and at the end Atlantic arranged for the Beastie Boys to be in the film, which we were just like pinching ourselves. This is ridiculous. And some people got away. We don't have LL Cool J, we don't have Egyptian Lover, we don't have Kanye, but the fact is, again, accepting the challenge of being broad and true to the story, but not trying to be an encyclopedia, it's a very leveling mentality that you have to keep throughout, because you have your bank balance that is dwindling down, and you have all those hours and hours of footage where are going to be more and more hours you're going to have to review, and you have to turn it into something coherent. I mean, I'm happy we're standing here today talking about it after it's done. It feels amazing. But yeah, commitment of time, resources, channeling passions in the right way, keeping people motivated, because time passes. You don't lose faith in the project, but it's you don't have the same enthusiasm halfway through that you had on day one, because you wonder, it's like, what do we need more, where should we go, and you know that some opportunities have passed, and you wonder if they're going to come back. But then if you keep at it, and perseverance is definitely key in independent filmmaking, whether fictional or documentary. You have this moment where you're just like, you wake up in the morning, you grit your teeth, and you're like, yeah, I'm going for it. This is it. Or this is the last stretch. We're gonna go and finish this. The biggest challenge for a filmmaker who wants to make a music doc, when they're passionate about the topic, is knowing when to stop. Yes, we have all those people we wish we would have had, but we can't get them at the moment. If we wrap now, we can start putting this together, and we have a purpose, and we have a process. Keep your eyes on the goal. Understand that you have to deliver a film, and for that you need to work almost backward from that delivery. Understand how long it's going to take you to piece it together. The main advice is keep your eyes on the deliverable and focus on when to stop, because to be fair, I could still be filming this film today. We talk about it with Alexander Dunn all the time. Oh, by the way, I just heard we could have got this guy next week, or something like. And it's tempting to just pick up the cameras again and say, but that means also going back into the edit, going back into the sound mix, going back into the grading, going back into the if you add a track or something, we need to go back into the graphics. It's the undertaking of each additional moment. When you're past that moment where you should stop, this is when you need to realize that your resources and the output needs to be worth it. And that's the challenge, because that's a focus and an understanding that is easy to forget, because you're meeting people who I mean, I was starstruck every time we had an interview. I had a little tear after I interviewed Phil Collins, because it was like, it just blew my mind. This is easy to get excited, but it's also important every time to sit back, speak with your team, and know that's it. We're good. We have something solid. There is more. Of course, there is more. But we're in an age of content. Content doesn't end with a film nowadays. It ends with everything else we can keep going afterwards. But first, we need to deliver a film. That's the focus that one must keep. To make a film like that, you have to be very mobile. But you have, at the same time, you have to uphold a lot of the quality requirements of high-end broadcast. If you shoot this on a high enough quality, you know you can sell it at a level that, you know, it warrants the bigger platforms. We had to be, you know, combining this challenge. So we went with a big, heavy F55, Sony F55 camera for most of the later part of it. We started with an F3 with an external recorder that allowed us to still record 4K and allowed us to keep the level up. But that has inherent issues because it's, you know, they're not always very reliable. However, then we switched to the F55 with a couple of modifications that we got to make it a full cinematic experience. And that means that we had to have, that was our workhorse. Around it, we had to be clever and had various mobile cameras. So, you know, it was a mixture of 5Ds, FS700 with external recorders, or, you know, even GoPros, because we had to create all those various setups around, and those had to be mobile. And light-wise, for interviews, I always say go with LED panels, because they're, you know, we had 3 1x1 LED panels. They just generate less heat. They're very easy, and that that came from our art documentaries, because we were obviously in artist studios, and the last thing they want is a boiling hot light pointing at their work, because it might damage it. So when we arrived with cool LED lights, it allowed us to always make not only the person we interviewed comfortable, but you never know. I mean, and the music studios is the same. You don't want to point hot lights at equipment, because you don't want to hear, oh, that didn't work after you guys left. It's like, okay. I think it's important to have a strong workhorse to deliver the main top quality. Always keep an eye on the tech specs of deliverable platforms. You know, whether you want to, iTunes, for example, they have very key standards. Review them online, stay up to date, because that will tell you exactly where you need to be in order to deliver to them. Because you take that and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to shoot that a little bit better. But this way, I know that my final product give me, you know, I'm going to shoot 4K, but I might just deliver a 1080, knowing that it's going to allow me to move within my shot and create something a little bit more dynamic as well. And nowadays, these options are available for independent documentary filmmakers. They used to be too expensive, but now you can do that. So as an independent, that's actually the stuff to get right. The moment where you think, well, actually, I'm going to go with really the cheapest camera, and this is where you're cutting back on something that might actually prevent your product from being sold very quickly. The sound is very important on this, because we need to obviously mix a lot of voices with music. So we had to be as well quite rough in the edit, because we had to be able to have a clear distinction between. So, you know, sometimes, you know, it could have been maybe a little bit more seamless, but we don't want to lose a key sentence, nor do we want to forget the music that is behind. So that was a key. So everything was recorded very, very carefully, and we were booming as well as miking. We were, you know, we had obviously a full mixer with us, not always just an external recorder, and we then recorded as well a backup into the camera. So we had, obviously, again, options to see how it sounded best, and sometimes when we had no choice but to use only one of them, then you know, because not everybody wants to be mic'd up with a wire running under their shirt and everything. So sometimes we had to be quick and just say, okay, well, fine. Well, here's a boom that's plugged in camera, done. Because we didn't have the luxury to set up more. So again, flexibility on sound, but always making sure you get the best sound you can get.
And I'm glad that I've been documenting footage since around 91, 92, even with the old 8mm tapes and all that. You know, we've been just recording and filming our journey, because I was always just a filmaholic. I was always just film, which now I'm glad I've been doing it, because we have hundreds of tapes.
They gave us a closet, literally, like a little corner. And it was a table, and it was our computer. And our whole thing, man, me and Coast was just like, hey, man, we ain't leaving here without getting the placement, man. And that's when we made the Love. That's when we put, you know what I'm saying, the Chicago Deep House.
I place no importance on BET Awards or MTV or The Source or XXL or any outlet that is supposed to validate me as an artist.
We have to teach young people that they can actually be, quote, artists. They can make a better living, in many cases, being an artist. What needs to really be taught within these programs is the notion of hustling.